Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we have got a major shift coming out of the Jackson Hole Federal Reserve vacation retreat, whatever you want to call it, as well as some interesting adjustments in the rest of 2025 from a housing outlook perspective from the Wall Street Journal, from Toll Brothers, a local national builder here based out of Montgomery County. We're also going through the first couple days of these SEPTA cuts, and I want to really talk about that. And there's been a plan that's emerged, and we've got a few great new listings coming to the market this week. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with Sarah to talk about how to take advantage of the lowest rates of the year when it comes to mortgages, you can do that with the link in the comments. So, Sarah, the Fed spoke last week, Jackson Hole, and there was a lot of foreshadowing for their September 17th meeting where Jerome Powell sent a very clear message that they are leaning towards a rate cut on September 17th. And the market reacted really well. The Dow Jones jumped up 800 points. We're seeing rate quotes in the mid sixes. Are you surprised by the comments? What's your reaction here? Just give me your initial thoughts on this.
I'm not surprised because I think this is kind of what I think that we were anticipating the rate cut in September. I feel like last week when we talked about it, I was unsure as to whether or not he would specifically mention anything about it. So I'm not sure if I'm surprised that he did or didn't. He didn't indicate by how much, just that there will be one, right?
Correct, yeah. So here's what the predictions are, how much. So right now, the CME Group, they run future odds on this. There's an 87.3% chance we see a 25 basis point cut at the September 17th meeting, going down to 400 to 4.25. The October 29th meeting, so that's still, there's a lot of time there. It's about 45 days. There is a 50.6% chance we're in the target range of 400 to 4.25, which would be a 25 basis point cut. And then a 42.9% chance we're going to be between 375 and 400. And the December meeting has a 49.5% chance we're at 375 to 400 and a 36.4% chance we're between 350 and 375. So there it looks like there's going to be multiple here, but he did not say how much. And there was a couple short lines from Powell. So one was downside risks to employment are rising. And to give some perspective here, in 2024, we were adding about 168,000 jobs a month. That number's dropped down to 35,000 for the summer months. So big difference there. There's also a reasonable base case is that effects of the tariffs will be short-lived, which I think we've talked about on the show here. And most importantly, with policy in restrictive territory, the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance. So, it was pretty clear that they're looking at inflation, they're looking at employment, and he's basically saying it might be time to make a shift here. So, how do you think the market's going to react? Or we saw the market reacted, but how do you think the Federal Reserve is going to react in September? Like, what's their cut going to be? How do you see this shaking out between now and the end of the year? What's your predictions?
I think it's going to be a 25 basis point cut. I think it's going to already be to some level. I think it's already been expected. The market already reacted to it. I think that when the actual cut happens, it's going to we're already going to see that in the rates. And I don't think there's going to be 3 this year.
I imagine we see a total of 50 basis points get cut. Now, it could be September, October, December, could be all at once. I'd love to see a 50 basis point cut this month. I don't think they're going to do it because everyone is telling them, hey, you've been too late. You have 2 Federal Reserve governors voting against the grain here. We've seen that the market reacted really favorably to this in a lot of ways. I just don't think they're going to do it. That it's, Jerome Powell's a nickname from President Trump that he's too late. And I think this is another good example where it's like, this could have been done in July. And then we saw all these numbers get adjusted like right afterwards. It's disappointing, but I do see some silver lining here. and that the thing everyone should know is that affordability just improved and volatility is going to remain because there's been some uncertainty around like GDP. It's basically half of where it was in 2024. It only expanded 1.2%. We talked about jobs, right? Unemployment's at 4.2%. And Powell's words are in the near term, risk to inflation is tilted to the upside and risks to employment are tilted to the downside. So they're still trying to balance both of these things, which I think is part of the problem here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that there are a lot of factors going on. There is uncertainty. There's like predictions as to how things will play out, but I think he's going to move slowly. I do expect that there will be a rate cut here for September. I think it's possible that we could see another one later on in the year, but I initially was kind of hoping that maybe there could be a 50 basis point cut for September, but I think I would be surprised if that happened now. I think it's going to be 25. And I think that maybe we would see it's possible we would see another one later in the year. But
yeah, and I mean, I think overall that was me texting you back that I'm in the studio. I just saw your message. So I hate not responding to people. I think that the main takeaway here is that when you look at this right now, like if you're at 6.5 and you're a buyer and that gets you excited, there's no guarantee this lasts. And I think that's what people need to really understand. This doesn't mean we're going to be at 6.5% for as long as rates stay where they are. That's the mistake buyers are going to make. Sellers, you may have a chance where there's all of a sudden like this influx of buyers in the market, especially with the timing of this, right?
Right. The timing is good.
The timing, it probably couldn't be any better for consumers because it's Labor Day weekend this weekend coming up. Back to school started this week. It's going to go into next week. There's a 90-day window here to take advantages. I don't even know if it's 90 when it comes to rates because we'll see what happens at the meeting on the 17th. I mean, imagine if they don't cut rates, what the market does. Now, I would be shocked if that happens, but all these things are on the table. And if you're a seller right now, I'd be very cognizant of positioning my property to be the next to sell. Don't play like the aspirational pricing game because inventory is up 12, 13% year over year in the greater Philadelphia area. And buyers like don't think they're going to come down anymore. These people that wait for rates to come down, you end up costing yourself a whole lot of money. And you got to really understand what your alternative is to waiting. I do see a window here, though. I mean, that to me is the biggest message I have for consumers right now. I mean, what are your observations when it comes to housing?
Yeah, I mean, if we already saw the market react to these predictions, now is when you try to capture that. If the right home pops up, like waiting to see if they're going to drop down further, I would not recommend. You really have to work with what you've got, like, and inventory is up. Is it the right inventory for you? Maybe not,
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at your situation and honestly not overthink it, like look for the right home. Does it check the boxes? Does it make sense? If you try to time the market, you could lose a house that really would be the right fit. And depending on what your specifications are, it could be a while until that one comes back up again.
I totally agree. There is case study after case study. You ask buyers, the biggest regret they have is not moving on one of the first homes they saw because they're waiting for something better. Now, there's a Wall Street Journal article that came out because I do see some opportunity here with rates. I'm really bullish on September, October, November, and then we'll kind of see where the market goes after that. This Wall Street Journal article that came out, it got sent to me by many people. My mentor, John Collins, obviously friends of mine. We talked about it in our. I send a weekly video out to our team, letting them know kind of what's going on. And this was the background of the video. The headline is "Nobody's buying homes, nobody's switching jobs, and America's mobility is stalling." So before I get into this, Sarah, what do you think of this headline here from the Wall Street Journal?
Wait, nobody's buying homes.
Nobody's buying homes. Nobody's switching jobs, and America's mobility is stalling.
I don't think so.
So I clearly people are buying homes. There's 4 million people that bought homes this year. Nobody's switching jobs, and America's mobility is stalling. I think there is some truth to that a lot of Americans are stuck in place because What the article goes on to say is that people are moving to new homes and new cities at the lowest rate on record. So it's not necessarily moving within the market, but taking that job opportunity outside of the market, relocating. I mean, relocation packages aren't what they used to be at all. And companies have fewer roles for entry-level workers trying to launch their lives. And then there's a number of interviews. One is a recent grad from the University of Pennsylvania with an engineering degree. This person applied for over 200 jobs since April, has piled up credit card debt, and is living in his girlfriend's family home. And he didn't even get a reply. And there's a lot of instances of this where I think people are coming out of college not getting the jobs that they want, which is evidenced by the job numbers and how they got revised.
I was listening yesterday, I think it was on like NPR. There was a big segment on this. People who like specifically picked, certain tracks and, everything like in college, trying to like get ahead of things that they would get out and get work. And it was basically just talking about it's that entry level job that is kind of going away for, a number of different reasons. But yeah, and there was person after person being interviewed of like, how many jobs they've applied for, and then just not even hearing back at all and having to like, and just like the frustrations there.
Yeah, and I think part of the challenge with this is, and there's a lot of research that like Gen Z, they don't see any money from their paychecks. It literally goes to paying debt. Is you've got this incredible college debt that a lot of people are paying on. This is kind of the elephant in the room no one's talking about. And I want to get your take on this because you went to Clemson, I went to Syracuse. These are not cheap schools to go to. Right. Even I went to school a lot longer ago than you did, but it was still a lot of money, right? Yeah. And what's happened in the past is that Americans have chased opportunity from moving to city, from state to state. You see people that would relocate all the time, and they're talking about golden handcuffs, but it's not necessarily just the low mortgage rate. It's not being able to find another job where it's going to make sense to move there. Now, there's places like Dallas and in Texas where you can buy something that's a lot more affordable. The problem is you want to move to Massachusetts, let's say, and you don't have a lot of money. You're screwed moving there because it's so expensive. Let's say Boston as an example, and it's a big problem here. And the declining mobility, according to an economics professor at the University of Chicago, is a big deal in many dimensions. He found that expensive housing dissuaded many workers from moving for better jobs after 2009. It's very true. And even though the economy's held up better, people are continuing to spend, and there's a real housing squeeze going on. So you look at the numbers in the 50s and 60s, only 20% of Americans would move each year, or typically 20% of Americans would move.
You mean like relocate, move?
Just move. They would buy a house. 9.8% was the number in 2019. And then after the COVID pop, because there was a surge there, obviously, 2023, only 7.8% of Americans moved, the lowest rate logged since U.S. Census records began in 1948. So even with this improved affordability, I think that there's a lot of folks that are in a tough spot here. And the mounting college debt seems to be a big issue for a lot of these people.
Yeah. I mean, if your whole paycheck is going towards debt and, your paycheck to paycheck just for like your basic, survival, that doesn't give you much room to be able to save and be able to go to spring for the big investment of getting the house.
Well, it's a big problem because, people are taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans, and then some of them aren't even paying the loans off. They're saying, forget it. I'm going to let my credit take the hit because they don't have the money to do it. And a lot of recent college graduates are underemployed. So, my question I went to the schools we went to were very, expensive schools. They're out of state, like they're private. I don't know if it's Clemson private or is it?
It's not private, but it's.
Well, you were out of state, so it doesn't matter.
Out of state, it is. It's expensive.
So, what did you major in Clemson? I'm not doing. I know you're an open book. Yeah. So
I majored in sociology and then I minored in business. Originally I was majoring in business and then I shifted.
Okay, so that actually is useful in my view because you understand human psychology. Business obviously is one of the more applicable degrees. I also majored in business, but you know what? I got a real estate license when I was 19. So did I really need to go there? Is the question. And I was selling I sold more houses the summer of my sophomore year than most agents sell in a year. And so I think
you were selling houses while you were in college
for the 3 months I was home.
Oh my God.
I mean, you didn't know this. So I mean, look, I was a 19-year-old moron, a 20-year-old idiot, but I did do a couple sales. And the point is that, like, I didn't need to go to college to do that. And you know, you had a business degree. I think that's smart. You know, a good friend of mine, they had a history major, right? And they bartended for like 7 years, didn't get in the, and then they went back to school to become an occupational therapist. And there's so many examples like this where these jobs get glorified, or these majors get glorified, that have zero application in the real world. And I think that's, and they come along with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Well, and it's hard to know sometimes, I think, until you actually are like experiencing the field to some degree, whether or not you really like it. So, you know, even if you get a degree or you get a job in the degree that you graduated with, if you hate it, like it's not really doing you any good. Now, sometimes that bachelor's degree can be your stepping stone, like regardless of what it was, can apply to if what you decide you want to do, you know, needs additional schooling behind it. You can kind of like apply that and build off of it. But yeah, it's hard to know. And like you're young when you're going in and making these like large decisions. So it's kind of hard to know what you're going to like and how you're going to be at it. And you're a kid.
It's very hard. Yeah. I mean, I was very fortunate to end up liking what I did, but I mean, that's not usually what happens. And I think the challenge is too, is it's not even just like what happens when you go to college. Like right now, schools, they push this, hey, you got to go to college. Like no matter, college isn't for everybody.
Right.
And I mean, I know a lot of people that run like trades, like plumbing companies, electrical companies. If you're good at any of those, you can make a lot of money and have a great living. And I think that's part of the problem here. And because of this, if you look at this data, recent college graduates who are underemployed now are more than 3 times as likely to be underemployed a decade later than those who quickly secure a good job, because you can't like work your way up, right? Like, I mean, because it definitely takes time. Like everyone's an overnight success, 20 years in the making is the saying. So, you know, this is one thing I think that's not going to change, even though like you could get rates to come down a little bit, but a solution isn't to bring more mortgage rates down, like bring them down further. It's just going to create more demand, which we don't really need right now. We need more inventory and more income coming into the market. So, I mean, I thought this Wall Street Journal article was interesting, but this has been going on for a long time. I mean, the college debt is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think Syracuse is like $60,000 a year right now to go to, and it's not even like that great of. I mean, it's fine, but I mean, it's not like. Not talking like the Ivy Leagues here or anything. I might imagine Clemson's probably the same if you're out of state.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's one of the challenges here. So despite this good news about housing for the people in the market, the people trying to break into the market, I think they're going to have a little bit of a harder time. So now Toll Brothers, they also adjusted their 2025 housing outlook amid affordability concerns. So Toll Brothers is a huge national builder. They're based in Fort Washington. And they scaled back their outlook for the year, citing affordability pressures, according to Dean Seal from the Wall Street Journal. They're projecting 11,200 home deliveries in its fiscal year, which ends October 31st. Listen to the average sale price on this. This is part of the problem: $950,000 to $960,000. Like that's their average home sale. So all these people talking about building more homes,
right?
You got to be making some money to afford that,
right?
I mean, how many people are really looking for those kind of homes that you're working with right now? One?
Right. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not many. This is above most people's price points.
And I think that's part of the problem here. And even like Toll Brothers is doing great. There's people moving up, like great for them. And their revenue rose, and you know they even said in here that affordability remains a hurdle, and their focus on the luxury market continues to attract wealthier buyers. And for the current quarter, they expect to deliver 3,350 homes with an average price climbing to $970 to $980. So the numbers are going up, not going down. So what do you see?
And this is their national average.
Yes, yeah, that's their national average. Now, I mean, most of their stuff they do a lot of work here, obviously, but I mean, your average price is $950. It's $950. I mean, it's $1 million property. So what do you see as, I mean, inventory is growing, but I still feel like a lot of these people are going to be shut out in the market. I mean, I don't know what the long-term solve here is. I mean, college debt seems to be a big issue, and I think this Wall Street Journal article shines a light on it.
Right. I mean, I think that like builders just aren't finding it worthwhile to like, they want to do luxury because
and they got to make a profit.
They have to.
I'm a capitalist.
Yeah, like that's right. And like, so doing the, developing neighborhoods that fall into lower price categories, they're like, why would I do that? I'm just going to do the luxury. But it's not solving the problem for most of the home buyers that we at least have here locally.
Yeah, and I think there's so much we could talk about here because, like, I mean, a good friend of mine has 2 daughters in college right now. She told me what she's paying for one of these colleges. I almost vomited in my mouth when I heard, and it's a private school in the Northeast. It was pretty close to 7 figures, and then once you get like room and board and everything else, it was or not 6 figures, excuse me, not 7 figures. That would be insane. 7 figures, and it's she's very concerned about what's going to happen to her kids when they try to buy a house because
right.
Like you have this degree, it doesn't mean you're going to automatically make money. I mean, the job market's pretty tight right now, so and even with mortgage rates coming
depending
down,
on like what the field is or like what you think they're going to do, you may be better off being like no to that school. You're going to go to one that is like $40K less.
Yeah,
but I'm going to put $40K a year into an account so that you have like something so that then later you can, your debt's going to be less for paying back, and you'll have like a nest egg here to be able to like put things towards. Cause like if getting jobs is so difficult, regardless, when you get out, how much of a leg up do you necessarily have by paying so much more for this other? I mean, it's obviously going to depend on the job in the field, and I understand that, but like, maybe paying the most to go to the best might not pan out in the end.
I think a lot of people think they're going to get like a golden ticket, right? Like Willy Wonka, where they walk in and they get these jobs. Now, if you look at like what's happened here over the past 6 years, people that made more money than they did 6 years ago are able to afford less, which is a reality for U.S. buyers, according to a Realtor.com report. Wages are up 15.7% since 2019. And the maximum affordable home price for a medium income household has fallen to $298,000, $30,000 less than where it was in 2019. So like you're seeing, wages are up, but you can't buy as much anymore, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it's we hire a lot of folks. I mean, we don't look for college degrees. Like that's not something that I don't really think that matters much in at least our line of work. Now, there's other lines of work where it's like a must, like you're an engineer or something like that.
You're going to need that.
Well, you need to understand it, but it's then there's the real life skill set. So I think that's part of the problem here, and it's a fundamental issue that we have right now. So I the reason I asked you and I knew what your major was, and I don't have like some major, like didn't have like real estate sales as a major. Like, right. It was, I did accounting and finance classes. Like that helps kind of, but not really. Like it just, I mean, there's life experience there that's valuable. So, as a parent, you've got, a young daughter, you got one on the way. I've got 3 kids. What are you and your husband thinking about to help your kids avoid this? Because I think I can tell you what our plan is. My son's 12, right? So it's a little different. I mean, this is coming quick. He's got 6 years. He's out. Have you guys thought about this at all?
We were like, you're going to trade school.
I like it. That's not a bad thing.
No, we set up a, I don't know what the numbers are.
529 account.
We set up some college savings account thing that for Maddie's like birthdays or holidays, if people, like obviously she's 4. So,
you got some time.
But like we get her toys, she wants toys, like, things like that. But if people are like we'll put on her like invites for like her birthday party or whatever, like a link to like contribute towards educational costs down the line, because it's like, how many stickers do you need? So, I don't think that's anything that's going to like significantly impact anything, but I guess just trying to like think ahead for things, because it's going to be expensive.
Yeah. Well, so I'm glad you're thinking that way, because we've done the same thing. Now I'm a little further down the path than you are. I got a son that's going into 7th grade this year, and I sat down with my financial advisor and said, look, like, what do we got to do here? Like, this is like, I need a number a year that we need to put away. And he did a couple different models based on some different schools. And we said, okay, we're going to go with this one, which was like in-state tuition to Penn State main campus, which is not cheap. It's not like, but it's not expensive either. It's kind of in the middle. And we're setting aside that amount of money for all 3 kids every single year. And it just is like another bill we have to pay. That's how we're looking at it. Because it's the only way to really do it. And I know not everyone has the ability to do that, is willing to do that, but I'm really concerned. I just don't want my kids coming out of school and they're like, they want to do, they want to do whatever they want to do, but you get this big debt and student debt you got to pay. Like it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I was very fortunate for like my parents covered a majority of my college. Like I had an extra semester there, so I had to cover the extra semester, and I had a couple like FAFSA loans or something that were taken out. But even like just with that portion, paying it back took like years, and that wasn't like, and that was just a little portion of what the total cost of my education was. So yeah, I mean, I think, and I know like I'm one of 4, and I know my parents like planned for that our whole lives, so like you do kind of, you have to plan ahead.
I agree.
If you want to be able to, and it's not that it's the expectation that like parents should have to cover everything for their kids, but just, and I mean, well, given everything that's going on with education and stuff right now, who knows what is what and what will be what. But
that's a good point.
I think just it's never a bad idea to start thinking ahead and setting money aside in hopes that the education system will still be in place.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. And I mean, I paid for half of what I did, so it was the same thing. I mean, it took a long time to pay that off. I mean, I think it was a decade. Also, now, I mean, the rates are different and things like that. So, I guess the point here is that this Wall Street Journal article is very real, and at the same time, I think that there is some opportunity for the people that are in a position to go make a decision right now, because I would not count on 6.5 rates the rest of the year. And anything you want to add here, Sarah, or anything else we feel like we need to cover?
Yeah, I mean, I think just it goes back to what we always talk about. Like, you cannot time the market, and you are much more likely to regret not jumping on a property that really is the right fit because you think the rates might come down like a tick or two, and not getting the home, than securing even if, like, let's say you got the home and then rates did come down a little bit, you're going to forget about that over time. What you're not going to forget about is the house that got away.
Yeah.
So like, don't try and time the market, because the regret of not getting it is generally bigger than, getting it.
People still talk about that. I have neighbors that are like, oh, I should have bought that. I didn't even work with them. Thank goodness. But that's always the case. So I think that's great advice from Sarah there. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Septic cuts, day 1, day 2. There's a plan on the table. I've got some information from the sports complex. This is serious. And I have a source that commutes in every day and got his opinion as well. I can't give his name out on the air, but
tell me when we're off the air.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's fine. We'll be right back on Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. College stresses me out so much with these kids.
Yeah.
At least give me 13. Like, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
I met you. He was like 2.
I know. That's wild.
For the best local mortgage service.
I mean, I wouldn't trade my going to college for like anything. I had a great time.
I agree. Well, I think I needed to go there.
Money-wise, did I,
easy access to home purchasing.
I mean, I kind of knew I wanted to get into business. So it wasn't like hard. I mean, that was important, but like, I
were always like drilled
I could have
in.
graduated in 3, but I didn't. And then I was like, I'm not fucking mature enough for this.
Yeah. Well, it was always like, I don't think it was ever an option for us, like, not like to go to college. Like, it was always like drilled in from when we were little. Like, you have to make good grades. You have to go to college.
We always have a person available.
It's a problem.
And then joke was on them when I got a sociology degree. But
you got a business mind. I wasn't smart enough. The person I was talking about was my brother-in-law.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, fucking idiot, man. He also didn't have to pay for college because British Mountain wanted to fill you when he got tuition exchange. So he blew it all. And I'm like, Bridget's still pissed about that.
Yeah.
No one knows
she had to pay for nursing school, so
Yeah.
she got a 2-year degree though.
We hire the best agents
The
and we
SEPTA
give
thing is
them
a
all
fucking
the tools
disaster.
to succeed. Even our
Yeah,
brand new agents sell 17 to
actually,
24 homes a year because our team delivers
Hawaiians,
the
like
best
Huntington, were
experience
asking
in
about
real
it
estate.
when
Teams deliver a better 30 seconds. And we're a top
I mean,
1%
those are
real
the-
estate team in the country.
not talk
We
about
call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us.
I got
It's
an
a
email from the
relationship.
Phillies about this.
If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden
I got the
rule.
email from
You
them.
always get more when you
Is
work
that
with
Eagles
Tom
home
Toole.
opener next Thursday? Disaster. All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And the SEPTA cuts started yesterday. So congratulations, everyone. We've made it to another government dispute screwing things up for the local area here. And if you get hopefully you get some value out of this, or at least understand what's happening. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you need to talk about your real estate needs relative to these SEPTA cuts, click on the link in the comments, schedule a call with Sarah, and we can walk you through all your real estate needs. So day one and day two of the SEPTA cuts. So there was a lot of stuff being covered on the local news about this. SEPTA riders have a new reality. It's the first couple of weekdays since there's been the cuts to the public transportation system, and roadways were a little busier on Monday morning. Remaining transit services were a little more crowded. No surprise there. And there's a lot of people that are there. There's all sorts of connections and impacts here. There was a local rider that there was 3 bus routes that got eliminated from the Fern Rock Transportation Center, and one guy missed a bus heading up to the mall, and instead of 4 hours, it took him 45 minutes. It took him 2.5 hours.
ugh,
Like that's more than That's triple, right? I mean,
that sucks.
almost triple. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And this is someone that lives in Olney, which I mean, they have that massive transit center there. It took him 2.5 hours to take his grandson home, is what he said. I mean, so I mean, that's the thing no one's talking about here. And they also added some additional funds there. I mean, this has been going on and on. What stories have you heard? I mean, I got an email from the Phillies here. The Eagles home openers next Thursday. That's going to be a disaster getting back and forth from there. And there's significantly longer wait times is really what people are saying right now.
Well, I'm not going to leave my house that day.
Well, there you go, right?
Yeah, just put a block my calendar. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And it just, a lot of people, like, you don't have another option. Like you have to do it. And it's just really unfortunate.
I mean, and so I'm going to give you, I got a source here. This person will know who it is. I know he's a listener, but he texted me over the weekend, and it was, let me see here. He lives on the main line, and he takes the train in, or he used to take the train in every day. And so we were texting back and forth on Friday, almost as effed as SEPTA stopping on 1-1. He's like, there's nothing funny about this. Traffic's going to be a nightmare. Middle of the state people need to smarten up and fund this. It's a huge part of why I bought a home here. It's not perfect, but it gets me there. I'm not driving in, and my employer can keep my bonus. It's a nightmare to drive with the train going. Also, Amtrak Keystone going to stop. I don't think people realize how this is going to be on January 1st. Not limited service, 0, 5 lines shut down. So, I mean, this is someone that bought a home to take it into and I mean, that's what's frustrating. And they didn't just buy this home recently. This was, it was, I don't know, I want to say like 7-8 years ago, they bought this property. I sold it to them. So, I mean, I know the dates.
I would argue it's almost worse for people who did recently buy something just for
they didn't even get the benefit. Yeah, you're right.
Get the benefit of it, like, but yeah, like the impact is real. And, I feel like something's going to have to be done. Something's going to have to give.
So there is some movement here. This was coming from Delco today. So there's a Schusterman plan, is what it's called. So State Representative Melissa Schusterman, who represents Chester County, is circulating a plan to protect the Philadelphia region tax revenue and prevent future SEPTA funding disputes. And she believes Southeast PA should be making decisions regarding its own state tax revenue if rural legislators end up refusing to fully fund SEPTA. I agree with her here because this part of the state accounts for like 40% of the tax revenue or something like that. So SEPTA is, we know it's going to reduce service by 20%, making its first round of cuts. This plan would divide Pennsylvania's 67 counties into 3 economic categories, with each group sharing its own portion of collected state tax revenue to fund items in Harrisburg budget negotiations, such as public transportation. She illustrated how the groups would be formed in a memo last week, and she noted that she didn't want to circulate the memo. She said, "Our back is against the wall. Southeast PA brings in 40% of the revenue for the state and SEPTA. Mass transit, it's our backbone. And judging by my source here, who relies on this, that's certainly the case. The plan aims to protect the region from future disputes." I mean, what do you think about this 3 economic categories sharing its portion of the collected state tax to fund items that are relevant to the state?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense because then what the different regions that need different things can fight for those things and have their tax dollars go towards the things that apply to them.
Well, I think that's part of the problem here is there's people that they don't care about SEPTA because it doesn't affect them.
Right.
But there's a lot of people here that are getting negatively affected by this. I mean,
and I think it goes across all different types of like economic backgrounds here. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like people, regardless, use public transportation.
Well, and it's, I mean, you know, this has been going on, and we're 2 days in, and there's already like 2.5 hours is ridiculous. Mayor Sherrell Parker came out and talked about that they're going to have to crunch attendance numbers now, along with the superintendent, Tony Watlington, because people take SEPTA to go to school, public school, right?
Yeah.
My wife did this. She went to, she lived in Roxborough, went to Hallahan. She took SEPTA. And while SEPTA says they're left without any other option, without funding from Harrisburg, they're you know, they said they're off to a decent start. But like you've got this is going to affect people across a whole lot of, you know, not only just demographics, but like kids being able to go to school. I mean, imagine like you don't have a way to get to school.
Right.
Like that's pretty, and it's not like they're going to some private school or something either. They're going to public schools in Philadelphia.
Right. Yeah. No, like that's ridiculous.
So, I mean, some of the other news here that came out today about this is that, like, again, delays getting there. They're dealing with longer trips. People are talking about having to take like the high speed line now, the Norristown line, instead of the Paoli Thorndale line in my neck of the woods. And that's you have to go through 69th Street, make a bunch of changes. Like it's so much more direct taking those places. And then on top of that, the Phillies sent out an email. Now they're in New York right now, so I guess but I have tickets to a game coming up here. I'm like not thrilled about this. For your upcoming visit to Citizens Bank Park, please be aware of SEPTA service changes that took effect on Sunday, August 24th. Fans traveling to Citizens Bank Park for upcoming Phillies games are encouraged to allow for extra travel time due to SEPTA service changes. While service to the sports complex on the Broad Street line will continue, the overall frequency of trains will be lower depending on the day and time. These reductions include the elimination of special express trains for games, with only local trains operating. Fans are encouraged to plan ahead, arrive early, and allow for additional travel time to and from Citizens Bank Park. For fans driving, to the sports complex, tailgating lots will continue to open 5 hours before the first pitch. All their parking lots will open 3 hours. That's really it. So they're dealing with this. I know the Eagles are feeling the same thing. So you lived in Bella Vista, right, or Queen Village, one of the two. Did you ever take like the express line down to and from the games, like where you get on, it's like you're there, and they don't make all the local stops?
I did once.
It was I think I'm a bigger sports fan than you. I know I'm a big. There's no debate about that. Taking that express train down, we lived in the city, was one of the biggest perks. I lived right around Broad and Spring Gardens. You literally get on. You're there in 10, 12 minutes, right? If you have to drive down there, because especially some of these northern stations. I mean, you got to park like 17, 18 blocks away, or you got to pay all this money. This is going to be a disaster. I don't think people realize how bad this is going to be. So I guess my question is, do you think they're going to fund SEPTA? Are they actually going to make this right? Because this is already sounds horrible, and we're not even past Labor Day yet. We're 2 days in.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to.
So where's this going to come from? Like, I mean, is Harrisburg going to come up with the money? Like, are these politicians going to cave? Because it looks like it's like the middle of the state, and Pittsburgh versus like Philadelphia, which is kind of the vibe I get here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be like a bunch of like back and forth BS that's going to like drag out for a little bit. I don't know ultimately what's like how exactly it'll come into play here, but I think however it happens, something's going to happen because I think Philly will fight back.
I do too. And I do like this plan about like.
Also, like, does Pittsburgh have good public transportation?
No.
Oh, all right.
You know what the best thing to do when you go to Pittsburgh is?
Leave.
Turn around and get the F out. Is what I say this to my neighbor all the time, and he doesn't like it, but I've heard that joke many times. So I actually said it once in New York, and there was a guy from Pittsburgh standing next to me. He's like, I'm from Pittsburgh. And I said, go Birds, and then left immediately. But anyway, so this has got to get fixed. Like, I mean, you're talking about like kids, like taking 2 hours to get home. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say. I don't know if you do, Sarah. Oh, I like this plan from Melissa Schusterman. Maybe we can see if she'll come on the show here. I'll message her.
Right. Let's get her.
All right. So we got some listings coming to the market this week. There's 2 of them. We don't have any open houses this weekend because it's Labor Day weekend. So we're not going to make that mistake for our sellers. Although all these homes are available by appointment. So if you want to schedule an appointment, click on the link in the comments. Sarah can get you in. The first property is at 4 Indian Way in Malvern. This is an incredible opportunity. This home is in excellent shape. It's a single-family property in Willistown Township. It's going to be priced at $850,000. So this is it's a really great price point for Malvern and Chester County. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath home. It's got 2 different garages on there. It's a Cape style, so it's got one main level bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, about 2,400 square feet, built in 1949. This is in impeccable shape, and it comes on 2.8 acres, so it's very private. It's on a private street. It's got a 10-car driveway. You got a 2-car attached garage and a 2-car detached garage with a loft. Incredible property, offered at $850,000. I mean, homes like this don't come along often, and it's right off Line Road and Paoli Pike. Incredible looking home for sure, and that's available by appointment for Indian Way in Malvern. You want to talk about this other home in Westchester we got coming to the market, Sarah?
Yep, 256 Torrey Pine Court in Westchester. This is a end row townhouse. It is 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 2,480 square feet. It was built in 2002. You would be part of an HOA community here. Your high school would be Henderson. Your HOA fees are like $340 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you do get like with what is included with that there, exterior building maintenance, which I feel like is huge. So just kind of something to consider when you're like breaking out the monthly bills there and factoring in your HOA. And that is going to hit the market on the 29th.
Yeah, and that home, it's like right down the street from Main Street in Exton. I mean, you've got hopefully you can use the train station there. It's right there. It's very close to that. It's a really convenient location. And it's got a first floor master bedroom and a first floor suite. And then it's got a finished walkout basement. Walkout basements are pretty rare in this community, as well as a 2-car attached garage. So this is another great opportunity coming to the market at $650 this week. We'll keep the listings coming here. Sarah, what do you think about Labor Day weekend if you're around and you're interested in maybe looking at some properties? What's your take on that? Is there opportunity? What should buyers and sellers be thinking as we head into the weekend?
Yeah, I think if you're a buyer, it is a great time to get in there and take advantage of a lot of people being away. If you're a seller, you would kind of need to have your expectations be where, you know, hopefully the people that are coming are very motivated and interested, but you may not get the same numbers that you would get on a different weekend. But if you kind of combine that with, you know, if we did just see a little bit of a drop here in interest rates, like you can't really predict all of these different factors and how exactly it's gonna roll out. But I think if you're a buyer, you want to be going in and touring homes and putting in offers when other people may not be. So if you're talking to a lot of your friends, whether or not they're looking for homes and they're going somewhere for Labor Day weekend, just take that as like, you know, like the population and assume that people that are also searching for homes may be going somewhere. So I would use that to my advantage.
I love that advice. And what's really important is when you're looking for an agent, they either are available or they have people that are available. Everyone's entitled to a vacation and some time off. You got to make sure they can get you in the properties if you want to see them. You hit the nail on the head. Anyone looking Labor Day, they're serious. They're out there looking to buy a home. They're just not touring to tour. And the interesting thing about this is that once the market closes on Friday, rates are set up until Tuesday. So, you know, right now we're getting rate quotes. I just pulled them up here. I'm seeing 6.57% on a 30-year fixed. We're seeing PHFA first-time buyer programs, 5.875%. FHA 6.075%, and jumbo, which is loans from 806,500 up to 2 million, 6.125%. So if you find a home over the weekend, you get a signed contract, you can lock your rate. You're not worried about rates moving around a little bit. So that's another advantage to being out there. So if you're serious or you see something you like, we can get you in. We'll make it happen. We've got the coverage available. And that's all we got this week for Toole Time Real Estate Radio. So if you want to follow Sarah, she's at Ty Time on Instagram. We only got one more week with her, ladies and fellas, before she takes some time off to you know go have this baby here, which we're all very excited for. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD on Instagram as well. We're live every week, 3 p.m. Tuesdays on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. You all right over there?
Yeah.